How has
Okay.
your on-screen persona evolved from when you first started to where
Okay.
you're at now?
Okay. So for me, 17 months ago when the journey started, as I said, when I left to Trust Funnel Academy, I joined the Two Ritual community. I was one of the first in there because Brian just started the group with us from those of us that were on his group learning experience. And
Yeah.
I was like a master craftsman of producing video that required no face on camera. And so I was one that said, okay, I'm just going to continue and figure out how to hide behind the camera. And then you realize that you can't make whiteboard sketch videos and PowerPoint animated videos quick enough to be grinding them out once a day or every couple of days and taking on this 30-day challenge that we had. And then, the grand wake-up call came to me that I want to help and coach people on everything about video creation and YouTube and become a consultant in the space with my skill and experience that I've developed, that they're going to need to connect with me. And that's going to involve having to get to know me. So that meant, hey, now it's time to get in front of the camera. So right away, I had to get over all kinds of things around shyness, projecting my voice, getting comfortable with the inanimate object called the camera.
Yeah.
And then after I started to do that, but I was also doing most things by script, and I got better and better with then I introduced a teleprompter, and then I got better with the teleprompter, and then I realized, okay, so now I'm still not, totally feeling what the authentic me is in the same way that we're having a conversation right now.
Yeah.
And I realized that I need to continue to take my ability to perform to another level so that I can be more comfortable in a conversational style. And that means trying to get to the stage of being able to have the confidence and belief in myself to be able to get on camera and use an outline, be able to prepare more quickly, and just have trust in allowing me to go in presence and accept that I'll get better through practice. So for me, there's been a whole, spring-loaded amount of change in the last 17 months. And that's, to me, a huge part of the excitement, because it's like, I don't know where it's going to go, because I haven't really tackled going live other than that great interview I did with Nick and Naomi that I had so much fun on. And, we've done some interviews, but actually handling the live experience with a chat role and all the other activity going on and the little surprises, I haven't jumped there yet, but I'm excited because it's not far away.
Yeah, I think that I really we both parallel to a certain extent. I feel comfortable in front of a camera, but when I first started this a little over a year ago, it actually was, I think it was March of last year that I had started this entire thing. And the whole thing was, I wanted to put up content about self-publishing, but let's just face it, it was very dry content, and I just didn't do it what I would normally do. I didn't attack with the same passion and the same fervor that I feel about publishing that I do today. I went in there and I was like, well, here's how you format your document, and if you have questions, and I just didn't have any really end goal on this. I was just kind of shooting blindly, with no purpose and no intent behind what I did. So obviously there wasn't many people looking for that. And when they would find it, obviously they're going to tune out. It's boring because there's a lot of boring content on YouTube. So why would anybody want to watch me? So when I evolved into a state of frustration within my first 60 days, as I had mentioned to you. And in that frustration, I go into what's called, Kelly likes to call it sweet Lou mode, which is when I turn into my wrestling persona and I just go full out heel, bad guy persona. And I just become sarcastic, cutting, and sometimes just downright mean. And so I put out my first video with this particular persona of me being sarcastic and making fun of certain things within the industry. And then, boom, all of a sudden, views shoot up, subscribers shoot up. I discovered that people wanted to see this. They didn't want to see the other stuff. They wanted to see this. And so in doing that, they encouraged this almost what's the best way I can put it? Negative behavior on YouTube. So I was like,
And
okay,
in essence, it almost would take you away from your why, because your why wasn't about being a comedy performer, right?
right. It's fun and I found it fulfilling, but it was also exhausting because I was taking time to write scripts, to come up with gags, to actually do a lot of things in post production. I mean, I would take maybe 30 minutes to write a script and maybe about another 15 minutes to shoot a 5 minute video. But then that 5 minute video, I would take about 5 hours to produce it, to come up with a lot of those comedy gags. My buddy Emeka was just talking to me the other day how he remembered the one where I blew on my thumb and it kept making me blow up and then I popped like a balloon. That took a long time for me to put that little gag together. And the funny thing is it's no longer on, so no one can try to look it up. I actually put it to private mode. But, nonetheless, it was very exhausting. And I started noticing that I was becoming frustrated. It was becoming a beast of burden. And I think you remember I was going through like 3 month stretches that I wasn't doing a single thing. But the funny thing is, I was still getting subscribers. I was still getting views. So that was encouraging. And I would go back in and I'd do another season of videos where I would record about 12 videos at once and I would trickle them out once per week. And then it would be nothing until finally I was watching people within the Tube Ritual group, the one that you'd mentioned before, and I was noticing some people that were just literally getting subs like that. And I'm going, oh my gosh, your niche is way more sub niche than what mine is. So I'm doing something wrong. And then I started to take a step back and I had to look at what was my process, what was creating most of the work, why was I getting such a limited amount of subscribers and views, and how could I be able to remove some of these factors and launch myself into the stratosphere? So I had to start to think, okay, it was hard writing those comedy sketch things. It was hard producing it. I had to get rid of it. Everybody came to me for the information. The entertainment was secondary. And I'm starting to find that out now more than ever because some people were like, yeah, the comedy stuff was great, but I really still enjoy tuning into your channel because you've got a lot of the most up-to-date and relevant information in self-publishing. So it's great to kind of see that because I felt like I had to take a risk. I felt like I had to distance myself from the whole comedy shtick and start to say, okay, this is what I'm about. I want people to learn what I have learned in the self-publishing business and get it to where I empower them with the same tools that have made myself and my wife successful, that we're not having to carry a 9-to-5 job. And that's my purpose, is I want to reach the other people out there that are struggling within their self-publishing business and hopefully get them to avoid the same pitfalls that I did. And when I anchored my purpose down, comedy's gone. Sure, I'll have the high energy still. Sure, I'm still going to have a lot of fun in my videos, but to a certain extent, I can't lose sight of the fact that I'm trying to affect lives in a positive way. So that's why I had to shift from the comedy dark style that I was doing to a more family-friendly model. And the reason why the family-friendly model works is it's a larger audience and it's more appealing to people. It's something that, say, for instance, a father can sit down and he's learning it on his free time and he can say, oh, he can get his daughter and he can get his son. Hey, come watch this video with me. This is really cool. He actually shares within his video that a 9-year-old published a book and was successful. A 13-year-old was published. And see, it becomes almost a family thing. So hence the whole family-friendly product, because I don't want to just limit myself to just a small segment of people. And I continue to hopefully mold that and evolve that. And I know that that's the direction I ultimately be heading in, is I want to get it to where it is definitely a bit more universally appealing and that people can be able to come to me as the go-to resource in self-publishing. So that was a long-winded answer to how I saw my persona evolve.
Oh yeah,
And
well,
yeah, it's crazy because you can even see now how I'm talking. That's the way the direction of the channel is going, is I'm
yeah,
starting to pull away the scripts and I'm starting to peel back the layers and have it to where people can kind of come to me and they feel like they're having a conversation with me. And that right there is gold. When you can build
that's
a
awesome.
relationship with somebody through the camera and it's evergreen and it can continue to build that relationship for years to
Yeah,
come.
I, 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 I can't imagine what it must have been like when you had produced all of those videos with the comedy in it, and then decided I'm making a total about shift and wondering about where it's going to go. And so I commend you for that courage to take that. And one of our next questions, you can comment a bit on
Yeah.
that when we get there. But that was great, Dale.